few ridiculous things in here that don't make sense, right? Um, when there's about 20 minutes left, they finally reveal why they're doing this shit. And, their reveal is that society abandoned them like they abandoned the school and the rundown town. Even though literally seconds before that he mentions how someone did find them, but he was so hungry he killed him. And there was no going to society after that. But then he goes on to say that society abandoned him. Even though really he abandoned society. And this movie has probably the least likable characters I've ever seen. I do feel bad for Jiminy when he dies, because he was treated like shit for most of the movie, but he still wasn't a good person. Him and his brother in one scene literally make fun of this girl on how she sounds, as if they've never heard someone with a different accent. And Candace is just awful too. She's not as bad as them, but she definitely isn't the best person. And I didn't like, even though at the same time I did kind of like it, they kind of get rid of the whole sacrifice. You're forced to kill someone you love, or to kill someone if you want to eat. You're starving, so you're probably gonna do it. Well, they take that away with the scene to a callback to his comic book, because this guy is a writer. And he made this character called Trigger Happy, who he's known for playing dead. And she thinks that's stupid because what superhero plays dead? Later, she shoots and it looks like it hit him because they make the camera focus on it and make you think that she shot him. Though, obviously, the guy with the camera, because he's watching them in another room with a monitor, would be able to see that she didn't actually shoot him. So it makes it pretty stupid, and it breaks the whole sacrifice thing. She's supposed to be forced to kill him. The movie opens up with this guy having to kill his wife, so why is it different now? Though I did like the line after they finally killed the guy and they talk about what they did 5 minutes ago. And they're like, hey, what kind of superhero plays dead? And they both say, Trigger Happy. And it ends with one of the characters surviving that wasn't really there. He was mentioned, then we see him for one scene where he gets in a fight with a girl for food. And later he survives, so. But yeah, these characters weren't really likable, and speaking of Jiminy, they actually, the whole point of his name being that was later, so the principal could make a joke about what happened in the original Pinocchio and not the Disney movie. He goes, he was squashed by Pinocchio with a hammer. Let's see if you can do that. Yep. That was the whole point of his name being Jiminy. And he ends up killing himself for his brother. Because his brother did everything for him, is his reasoning. But it is a pretty interesting movie. People get kidnapped, forced to kill their loved ones for food because they're starving. But it was just executed pretty poorly. Not to mention the actual action doesn't happen until 25 minutes in, unless you count the short opening scene. But yeah, it was a decent movie. But there's actually one thing I almost forgot to talk about. One of the characters that just shows up is absolutely bizarre. I don't think she even had a name, but it was awful. She just comes in calling the girl a whore and saying the F slur, which once again, I don't get why movies think they need to use the F slur when there's thousands upon thousands of other words you can use. They always do that. Though it doesn't really matter, since that character gets killed seconds later. But still, it's pretty stupid, and honestly, some of the dialogue is really, really bad and cringy in this movie. Like, there's one scene where, he just randomly mentions he's a brown belt when there's like 20 minutes left in the movie after he kills someone. And let's not forget that this movie is an hour and 40 minutes. And they finally mention he's a brown belt when there's 20 minutes left. And it doesn't even really matter, because he only mentions it once. He kills someone, says he's a brown belt, never talked about again. And then there's also a cringy scene of him repeating what the principal says, because that's the villain's name. Yeah, really stupid name. The main villain works in the underground school, the abandoned school that he kidnaps the people and puts them in. And he has an intercom with like a disguised voice for whatever reason. I guess to sound cooler or something. And he calls himself the principal, and every time someone's about to kill someone, he is like, oh hey, here's the word of the day, and then he'll say a random word, and then he'll tell you the meaning of the word. Well, that guy decides to call back to that thing and make a very cringy insult where he goes, the word of the day is pussy, fight me, you fucking pussy. Like, God, it was so stupid. But it was a decent movie, could have been better. And like I said, the characters suck, so don't watch it for the characters.